Hi YouTube, ACDodd here again, and welcome to another episode of On the Road Tuning with me, ACDodd, and this time I've got another couple of minis for you. Let's dig in. Back up around the Guildford area today, and we've got a nice 70s Road Racer as our first car. Lovely car, this one, and I think this is another competition winner. So under the bonnet we have a 998 engine. I don't think it's the original engine. We've got it seems to be an A+ block, and stage 1 HS4 carb. So let's go and see if we can find out what's up with this one. So having me round to tune your vehicle doesn't mean you have to go on camera, and the owner of this car or these cars today was no exception. So basically he told me that this particular vehicle, it was just flat spots. So yeah, just put your foot down and just flat running. So clearly he wanted to get that improved, and that's why he called me round. So let's get further into it and see what we find. So digging into this one, we got a 3 ohm coil, we got a basic ignition system, 12 volt feed, and points ignition. This is a replacement Dizzy, so what we will do is I'll be looking at the advance curve of that in a minute. The leads are old, but the resistance is still good, so I'm going to leave these on for the moment, and then we get to the spark plugs. Let's have a look at those. So spark plugs, and we have yet another car that's way too rich. So yes, this has just done a cold start, but actually it didn't need much choke, because as you can see it was running way too rich. So yet another car that's people have been setting the mixture or setting the way it drives by turning the mixture screw. So we need to sort this out, because clearly that's going to do the engine damage if we leave it like that. So having a quick look, we'll also notice if we look at that one, that's a BP6 spark plug. So this is a 998 based engine. So looking at the gaps, we can also see they're far too wide. So again, no gapping, wrong heat range, and far too rich. So we'll put a fresh set of 5s in there, gapped at 25 thou to go with that 3 ohm coil, and then we'll pull some fuel out of it and go from there. So before I start the engine up, I've fitted a new set of BP5 ES spark plugs gapped to 25 thou. We can see that the vent is actually open to the engine, so I can stick my finger right in there. So the other thing is, it's actually got a crankcase vent pipe fitted, which is excellent. The problem is, with that open there, it's actually going to suck in air there and then draw it in there, and basically an air leak straight into the carburetor. So what we're going to have to do for the purposes of this tune today is to block that vent off. So in slower time, the customer's going to have to block the hole up, or arrange an alternative vent or something like that, so I can so he can have appropriate crankcase ventilation. Now the problem when you block that vent is that when you reconnect it, it will affect the base idle mixture setting. So the customer will have to probably take this to an MOT station where he can hook it up to a gas analyzer, reconnect the pipe, and then just reset the base idle mixture setting. But that's one of the issues when you call me out for a tune-up. The car needs to be ready for a tune. Now if I have to change things like that to be able to tune it, then clearly, you know, I can't help that. Otherwise, you know, effectively I can't set the mixture properly unless that's actually working. So I'm going to put a block on that now so I can continue with the tune, and we'll take it from there. So a lot of these cars nowadays, they've got faults on which are due basically to people not understanding how things work. So this one has got the crankcase open to the atmosphere, which is effectively sucking air in through the engine and then out into the carburetor, creating an air leak. So I can't obviously tune it like that, and I don't have all the parts with me to be able to fix that. So in these scenarios, this is where you have to tell the owners that cars have to be ready for tuning if you want a successful tune. Now the problem is if the owner doesn't know the way these things should be plumbed up, then they've got no chance. But I'm also seeing things like this from companies and businesses that have had cars in for tuning work, and they leave these things open and they don't do anything about it. Whereas in actual fact, you can't actually tune the engine properly unless that's actually fixed. So in this particular case, as you heard me mention there, you know, we need to do some remedial work to make that happen. Now, one of the ways of doing that is blocking the inlet pipe off so you can tune the carb. The problem is if that's subsequently reconnected with the proper system, there will be a small air leak which will affect the mixture of, versus a blocked off pipe. So as we'll see further on, there is a better solution which was provided by the customers, or a customer had a friend there and he was able to provide some bits. So let's dig in and we'll see how that works out. Got the engine back running again, and you can see I've got a spark plug out again. So what I've in the process of doing, you can see I've disconnected stuff. I'm actually going to change the distributor, and the reason why we're going to do that is because we're going to put one of my high power units in. So we're going to change it to electronic ignition, but the main reason that we're doing it is because the advance curve in this distributor is nowhere near right, and it's much too long and much too slow. So with the right timing at full power, I'm at TDC at idle, and I'm struggling to make more than 12 degrees at 2000 revs. So this one's way out. So I'm going to change the advance curve for a much shorter one, and obviously update it to my typical high power arrangement with it. So we're going to get rid of the 3 ohm coil, put a 0.8 ohm coil on it, re-gap all the spark plugs up to 35, and that should make a huge difference to that, and wake this engine up. Something that's often overlooked nowadays is the advance curve contained within the distributor. So it doesn't matter what else you do to the car, if the advance figures aren't right for the engine that you've got, it is simply not going to perform. Okay, so there's no way around this one. So, you know, twisting the dizzy, you can make the best of it, but you won't necessarily get the full benefit out of that engine, and the full efficiency and the full economy out of that engine, unless that advance curve is right. So in this particular case, because the advance curve was woefully too long and a bit slow, I had no option here other than to sell the customer a complete new dizzy. And obviously I only stock you know, high power units, so in this case we had to change effectively the ignition system, but made a huge difference. So big changes. So on this one we decided to change the whole ignition system. So we've gone for as I said before, 0.8 ohm coil. We've gone for a high powered dizzy which has got an ACDodd curve in it. We've gone for a new set of leads so that make sure that we've got good insulation for the new high power sparks. The plugs that were in, I've now re-gapped them up to 35 thou to run with the new coil. So ignition's in and timed in, which is all good. And just so out of interest, so people know, I've got 29 degrees full advance, and I've got 8 degrees static. So yeah, she's all good. So moving over to the carburetor. Now, one thing we had originally was this wasn't on, so there was a hole here, so that was actually letting fresh air in. So the customer has got a friend here, and he nipped home and got one of these off a 1300 engine. We've connected that up straight to the carburetor, so this is plumbed in as per 1275 engine. So it's all going to work very well. We just got to get it dialed in. And speaking of dialing in, the top's off now and we're over profiling the needle. I just want to put a little bit of footage in here regarding the breather system before we go and have a look at the needle being profiled. So you see we've installed actually a 1275 closed circuit crankcase ventilation system. So some of you might think, well, that's, you know, that's a 9 and 8, it's not going to work. Trust me, it works fine. In actual fact, you're breathing from both ends of the engine. So on a tuned engine like this one, when I say tuned, mildly tuned, and an older engine that's breathing a bit more perhaps, there is definitely no harm in having an extra breather and utilising the factory parts to do that, which is why I recommended to do that, and that's the modification we employed to get this one running properly. So needle wise, we had an AAU needle which was way too lean, in fact 30% too lean at points. So we've gone for an AAF which has corrected the fueling, and actually on this particular engine this AAF is actually pretty much bob on right the way across the rev range. The only difference is this engine's running 1100 head on a 998 block. So what I've done is put a little bit more fueling on progression and up at full power. So we're going to put that back in and hopefully it's going to run much better. So got it all back together. So in essence, complete change of ignition system for a higher power setup, ACDodd recurve, new power spark dizzy, and then carburetor wise. Obviously we talked about the breather, but we've got a modified AAF needle now with more fueling on progression and a little bit richer at the top end because this has got a different head on it. So in terms of fueling, we was a bit lean on acceleration. So when I first got to the car, it didn't have sufficient oil in the damper. So I've obviously changed that, but I've had to change it again. So now we're on 2050 engine oil, and yeah, she's good to go. So as ever, it's test drive time. So took out spark plug. This is plug number 3. As we can see, that's cleaned up lovely. Clearly they were new plugs, but it stayed nice and clean after the test drive. So as usual, my work here is done. If you're wondering, the customer was very happy with the performance. He also has a 1275 base car, which you'll see next. And he commented on how much better the 998 was running, how it was almost comparable with the 1275. So that gives you some idea of how much better it was running. And conversely, I said, also that lets us know how badly the 1275 is running, because that's in next. So without further ado, let's get that one in and see what we find wrong with that one. Next car, and we've got a later 1275 Sprite, I believe, or in fact this might even be a Cooper. So let's have a look under the bonnet. Nice little road racer type, modified, but I think under the bonnet we're fairly standard. And again, this is another prize winner. So this owner has been very lucky because he's actually got 2 cars on prizes, which I've never heard of before, but it just shows you the odds of actually winning these are actually a lot higher than winning the lottery, because there's a lot less people involved in these raffles. So I think it's well worth the ticket, especially with this guy's proven he's won 2. So digging into this one, I'm leaving it running for a reason, so I'll show you that in a second. But car is fitted with a late type 65D Dizzy, which is all good. High power coil, which is all standard. I've got to have a look at the advance curve yet, but you'll notice it's got breathers on, okay? And then obviously, what's this on the carburetor? Well, the point is whoever's done that hasn't blocked the end up. So listen, as you can hear, when I block the end up and block the air leak, the revs rise, because clearly it's much too lean with that open. And this is what people do, they don't understand. They fit these breathers and then leave the air leak open. So that carburetor is fueling terribly. Be very lean as well. So let's dig in and sort that out. So same issue, we've got a crankcase ventilation problem. So as we can see there, slightly different setup, 2 crank vents because this is a 1275, and it's got a little open filter on each one. But for some reason, someone's just left a pipe connected to the breather on the carburetor with the end open. Huge air leak, okay? Massive problem for emissions and obviously fueling all over the place. So we need to get this sorted before we can actually get the engine running properly. So what I've done is I've gone through the ignition system. I put a new set of spark plugs in it because the spark plugs that are in it have been in there a while. So let's have a look at those. So looking at the spark plugs, interesting colours. So this, I can tell you from experience, is an indication that, you know, your burn's not right. So it looks rich on the left hand side, but actually we were running lean. And the reason why it's all over the place is because the timing was anywhere near right. The only indication we've got of the timing issue is spark plug number 1, where we've got some light tan deposits on the rim, and that's letting us know that we've got too much ignition timing. So we'll have a look at that now, and I'll show you what that means. So we had 64 degrees of ignition advance with the vacuum connected, and without the vacuum connected we had 43. So that's 43 degrees at full advance, which as most people will know is piston meltingly bad. So what we've got to do is look at the advance curve. Here's an interesting one. I'm just stripping this down so I can fit the recurve bottom half on, and I've just taken the module off, and there's not one scrap of heatsink compound on there where somebody's fitted that. So that if that was driven any particular distance, that would have overheated, because these modules don't like it when they get too hot. So you need to put heatsink compound on there when you fit these. So some people ask the question, why are we changing the advance curve? Well, if we look in there, you will see that number on there says 18 degrees. That's 18 degrees of advance, which is distributor advance, which is actually 36 degrees of mechanical advance that we can swing in, which is the reason why we've got far too much timing on this engine. So the other thing you'll notice is it's got great big springs, okay? So that's much too slow the advance that we need. So the recurved version, if we look, we will see that it's got the same 18 on it, but what I've done there is soldered in a stop to reduce that amount of advance. And also you'll notice there as a much lighter spring, and there is a modified secondary spring. All right, so that basically gives us much more rapid advance and much less advance, which is what we want for this application to make this wake up and really go. This second car has got distributor advance curve issues as well. So this actual advance curve is very common to these Sprite engines. Low compression engine, and it was set up for emissions. It had a very, very long advance curve, meaning that the ignition timing was typically after top dead center or idle, relied on vacuum and things like that. And the reason for it was to pass emissions and things. You know, with more modern thinking, that's not necessarily the case, and we can still get it past emissions with a much better advance curve. So changing the advance curve can get a lot more torque, a lot more punch out of the engine, increase the efficiency, and obviously produce more power without over advance at the high end of the rev range. So that's the reason for actually changing that. And in reality, all of these Sprite engines with the single carb setup, the 52 horsepower factory engine on the later 1990s minis will all benefit from having a recurved advance curve in the distributor. So engine's all running again. Bottom half of Dizzy's in, which is working and all timed in correctly. In fact, I got the same timing as I did on the 998. Actually, we're running 29 degrees all in on this one. 8 degrees at idle, which is perfect. Got standard, got a new set of Power Spark HT leads to go with the system. I also fitted a new rotor arm because the one that was in it was in very poor condition, so new rotor arm went in there. Moving over to the carburetor, we had a treble A needle, so that was way too rich. So I went and tried an AAF, that was too rich, an AAE, which was probably a bit lean, and then I've settled on an an ABD needle, which is actually almost perfect, but a little bit of modification. 3,000, 4,000 and 5,000 RPM points need a little bit of modification, but as I say, this is a good example of a treble A needle, which a lot of people fit for stage 1 kits. This is a 1275, and that's too rich for this as well. Okay, so another example of a treble A needle, stage 1 needle fitted in a 1275 engine, and this one was too rich. So please understand that a treble A needle is needed in certain applications, but not generally on these. So if you've got a stage 1 kit mini at 1275 or at 998, don't automatically fit a treble A needle. It may be right, it may be too rich. Generally, they are too rich, and it can result in bore wash as well, you know, putting in far too much fuel at part throttle. So just bear that in mind. when you're actually getting your car set up, and make sure that the engine's tuned properly and that the needle is selected to obviously fuel the requirements of your particular specification. So got this engine all dialed in the end ended up with an ABD needle that's modified. The oil in the dashpot is actually fine. I don't know what it is. It was whatever was in there. Yeah, this is all ready to go. So sounds really aggressive, so I'm sure the owner's going to be very happy with this one. Okay, so owner's gone out in this one. We'll just have a quick look at the spark plug. As we can see, that is lovely. So again, my work on this one is done. So got to the end of that one. Customer went out in it. As you can see, I've just showed the spark plug on there. The reason why I'm showing the spark plugs is because I want people to see what they should look like after a tune, and they shouldn't be black and all that kind of stuff, because that's an indication you've got insufficient combustion going on and obviously potentially too rich fueling. So I can report the customer was extremely happy with that 1275, because clearly he now saw how bad it was and how much better it was. And if you remember, I said back on the previous car, he was impressed about how the 998 was almost matching the performance of the 1275. Well, clearly after the tune it didn't, because the 1275 really woke up after those modifications. Anyway, as ever, please like, subscribe, share these videos, ring that bell, do everything that you can to help me continue making these videos, and to share the knowledge that I do. So as ever, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one.